Hello friend, from this tutorial, we are start learn jQuery Bootgrid plugin, server-side processing in Codeigniter Framework. This tutorial we have divided into 4 parts. In first part we will see how to load data in jQuery Bootgrid plugin from mysql using Ajax. In second part we will learn how to insert data into mysql table, using Bootstrap modal in Codeigniter with Ajax and jQuery Bootgrid plugin. In third part we will discuss, how can we trigger Bootgrid update button command for update data in Codeigniter using Ajax. And in fourth part we will see, how to trigger Bootgrid delete button command, for delete data from mysql table in Codeigniter using Ajax. After completing all part, we have make simple Crud application by using jQuery Bootgrid in Codeigniter using Ajax. Now let's start discussing this topic. This is our testing database in which we have one employee table with table column like ID, name, address, gender, designation and age. We will perform all Crud operation using this table, with jQuery Bootgrid plugin in Codeigniter Framework. This is our Codeigniter working folder. First we have go to application folder, and under this we have go to config folder, and open autoload.php file. Under this first we have to define some autoload library, so during code execution we do want to load library again and again. For this in $autoload libraries variable, we have defined database and session library, so when first time Codeigniter application run it will load it, so we do not want load this library again. After this we want to define base URL of the system, so we have open config.php file, and here in $config base URL variable, we have defined base URL of this application. Now we want to make database connection, so we have go to database.php, and in this we have set host name to localhost, username set to root, password set to blank and database name set to testing. After making database connection, now we are proceed for coding, so here we have already make 3 file like Bootgrid controller under controller folder, Bootgrid model under model folder, and Bootgrid.php under view folder, because Codeigniter is a MVC framework, so for make any application in this, we have to make model, controller, and views file. Now we have open Bootgrid controller file, and here we have write public function construct method. This method will be execute when new object of this class has been created. Under this, first we have write parent class construct method, so when object of this class been created, then parent class, construct method code will be executed. After this we have write $this with load object with model method, under this we have write Bootgrid model, this method will load Bootgrid model. Now we have make index function, this is root method of this class, so when in browser, we have type base URL/bootgrid, then this method of code will execute. Under this method, we have write $this, with load object with view method. Under this we have write bootgrid view file, it will load this view file as output in browser. Now we have open bootgrid.php view file. Under this file we have already included jQuery and Bootstrap library, with jQuery Bootgrid plugin library also. First, under this page, we have make one HTML table with ID is equal to employee data. On this table we will initialize jQuery Bootgrid plugin. Here, we have write table data tag with data variable column ID is equal to name, and in column text, we have write name. Here data column ID variable define it will load table column name data under this column. Same we have write second table data tag, with data column ID is equal to address, with text address. This table cell display address table column data. After this for display gender, we have defined one more table data tag with data column ID is equal to gender, which is table column of employee table, with text gender. For display designation data, we have defined one more table data tag, with data column ID equal to designation, which display employee table, designation data, and in table cell text we have write designation. Same way for display, age data, here we have write table data tag, with attribute data column ID is equal to age, it will display employee table age column data, and in text we have write age. In last table data tag, we have write data column ID variable is equal to commands, and data formatter is equal to also command, and data sortable variable is equal to false. Here data formatter is equal commands define. In this table cell we have put command buttons like edit and delete, and this sortable attribute for disable sorting data. Now we have moved to write jQuery code for Initialize Bootgrid plugin, so we have write variable employee table is equal to $ with table ID employee data with Bootgrid method. This method will initialize jQuery Bootgrid. Under this method first we have write Ajax option set to true, this will enable server-side processing, by default it has been false. In second option we have write row select set to true, this option will enables entire row clickable. In third option, we have write post option with function, and under function we have write return array with key ID, and with encrypted value, this will enriches the request object with additional properties. In next option, we have write URL set to base URL, with bootgrid controller, /fetch data method. Here we have send request to fetch data method of bootgrid controller. And in last option we have write formatters option, it is perfect to manipulate the visualization of column data, it is nothing else that function that gets invoked on column data rendering, this will return HTML string as an output. Under this, we have write command function with column and row argument, and under this function we have write return statement, with HTML code of edit and delete button. If you want to add edit and delete button, then you have get by using this formatters. It will return HTML code of edit and delete button, and in this button we have add one data row ID variable value is equal to row.id variable in both button. This value is nothing but data of ID table column of each employee. Now we have go to Bootgrid controller, and here we have make fetch data method. This method will receive Ajax request for fetch data. Under this method, we have write $data variable is equal to $this with Bootgrid model, with make query function. This function will return data for Bootgrid plugin. Now we have go to Bootgrid model, and here we have defined $records per page variable is equal to 10. Value of this variable we will use to define 10 table data display on web page. After this we have create $start from variable is equal to 0. Value of this variable we will use in select query to define we have start fetching data from 0 index. We will change value of this variable according to requirement. Then after we have defined $current page number variable is equal to 0, under this variable we will store current page number get from jQuery Bootgrid Ajax request. Below this we have write create make query method, for fetch data from employee table. Under this function, we have write if statement, and under condition we have write is set function with $post row count variable. This condition will check if value of this variable is set, then it will execute if block of code. Here $post row count variable has been get from jQuery Bootgrid Ajax request, while populate of this plugin, and suppose value of this variable is set, then it will execute if block of code. And under we have write $this with records per page variable is equal to $post row count variable. Here we have store $post row count variable value under this $records per page variable. But suppose value of this variable is not set, then it will execute else block of code, and under this we have write $this with records per page variable is equal to 10. Same way, we have again write if statement, and under condition we have write $post current variable. If the value of this variable is set, then it will execute if block of code, otherwise it will execute else block. Here $post current variable return the number of current page via Ajax request to server, and suppose value is set, then it will execute if block of code, and under this we have store this variable value under $this with current page number variable. After this, we have write $start from variable is equal to $this with current page number variable -1 into $this with records per page variable. Based on this calculation we can get the value of $this with start from variable, which we can use select under query. Now we have write $this with database object with select method. This method will make select query. After this we have write $this with database object with from method. Under this method, we have write employee table. This method will make query like select star from employee table. Now we have write if statement, and under condition we have write not operator with empty function with $post search phrase argument. This condition will check value of this variable is not blank. If value not blank, then it will execute, if block of code. This variable value is also sent by jQuery Bootgrid plugin via Ajax request to server. Under this block we have write this with like method with two argument like name table column name and $post search phrase variable. This method for search data in name table column. After this we have write $tis with database object with or like method with two argument like address table column and $post search phrase variable. It will search data in address table column. For search gender column data, here we have write $this with database object with or like method. Under this method we have write gender table column name and $post search phrase variable. Same way for search designation table column data, here we have write $this with database object with or like method. Under this method, we have write designation table column name and $post search phrase variable. And lastly for search age table column data, we have write $this with database object with or like method. Under this we have write age table column name and $post search phrase variable. Now we have write if statement. Under condition like is set function with $post sort variable and is array $post sort variable. This condition will check if value of this $post sort variable value is set, and it is an array, then it will execute if block, otherwise it will execute else block. Suppose this condition is satisfied, then it will execute if block, and under this we have write for each loop with $post sort variable as $key with $value. Under this loop, we have write $this with database object with order by method. Under this method we have write $key variable and $value variable. This method will add order by clause in query. But suppose above condition false, then it will execute else block, and under this we have write $this with database object with order by method. Under this we have write id table column name with descending order. This block of code will add order by clause with id table column. After this we have write if statement, and under condition we have write $this with records per page variable value is not equal to -1. If this condition true, then it will execute if block of code. Under this block, we have write $this with database object with limit method. Under this method we have write $this records per page variable and $this start from variable, this method for pagination. Now we have write $query variable is equal to $this with database object with get method. This method will make query and execute query. Lastly we have write return statement. with $query variable with result array method will return query result in array format. This function is for fetch data for Bootgrid. Below we have make one another function, with name like count all data method. This method will return total number of row. Under this function, we have write $this with database object, with select method. This method will make select query. After this we have write $this with database object with from method. Under this method we have write employee table. Below this we have write $query variable is equal to $this with database object with get method. This method will make query and execute query. For get total number of row, we have write return statement with $query variable with number rows method. This method will return total number of rows. Now we have go to Bootgrid controller, and here we have write for each loop, and under condition we have write $data variable as $row variable. Under this loop we have write $array variable is equal to $row variable. Here we have store data under this $array variable. After this we have write $output variable is equal to array, with first key, current with value get from $post current variable. In second key we have write, row count, with value set to 10. In third key we have write, total, with value get from $this with, Bootgrid model with count all data method. And in last key we have write rows, and it value get from $array variable. So this way we have store data for Bootgrid, under this $output variable. Lastly, we have write echo statement with JSON encode function. Under this function we have write $output variable. This function will convert data into JSON format. And back to Bootgrid plugin, Ajax request. Now we have check output in browser. Here friends, we can see, when page has been loaded, then employee data has been displayed on web page under jQuery Bootgrid plugin. Here we can see only 10 data per page on web page with edit and delete button. Here we can see function of this jQuery Bootgrid plugin, like we can easily search table data by entering query here. Same way, we can easily show any table column data in ascending order, and descending order very easily by clicking of single click on table column heading. Here we can easily refresh whole table data by clicking on this button. Here we can also define how many records we want to display per page. We can also define from this drop down. Suppose we do not want to display gender table column, so we can remove by this table column from here, so it will remove ID table column from web page. This jQuery plugin make pagination without writing any code. So here you can see when we have click on second page, then it displays second page data. Now friends, in next part we will discuss, how can we do insert operation, with jQuery Bootgrid plugin in Codeigniter, by using Bootstrap model. If you have any query or input regarding this video tutorial, Please comment your query or input in comment box, or if you like this video tutorial, please share with your friends, or even you can also share on social media also. If you want to get more update regarding our video tutorial, please subscribe our YouTube channel for get more update regarding release of future video. Lastly, keep watching our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching this video tutorial.